Welcome to 20 Minutes with Mike, brought to you by Legal Ease, the ultimate guide on how to survive a law practice. The Chastain Law Office of Gold River, California, and Barking Frogs, your best source for race swag. Go bigger and louder. Now here's your host, Mike Chastain.
All right, welcome. We're so pleased that you're joining us today. Today I'm going to be talking about a classic book that has really had a great impact on my life, and it's called The Four Agreements. So let's get started. All right, Don Miguel Ruiz is a renowned spiritual teacher, international bestseller, and the author of the Toltec Wisdom Series, including several books, including The Four Agreements. And if you've never read The Four Agreements or listened to it on audiobooks, I highly recommend this. It has, and I'm going to go through the Four Agreements today because they've just been so powerful in my life, in sort of core values. Is really kind of what the Four Agreements are, is your four core values of how you run your life, how you live your life. You know, one of the interesting things about core values when you develop them is the answers to questions become really, really clear. You know, when something happens and you're asking yourself, well, what should I do? How should I react to this? And if you just step back and go, well, what are my core values? What are the things that are critical to me, the non-negotiable parts of my life? I think that you'll find that those answers become really, really clear. So let's start with the Four Agreements, because there's really quite a bit to it. Even though there's only four things, they're quite deep. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Now, the word impeccable is really well chosen. Impeccable. So he could have said, just be honest, right? But one could be honest, one can tell the truth and still mislead. As a matter of fact, I hate to say it, but as lawyers, that's often what we do. We're telling the truth based on what people say, but it's designed to get to a certain place. It's designed to lead to a certain conclusion, and that conclusion may or may not be true. We hope that it's true, but I think that the word impeccable really makes an impact. At least it made an impact to me. So you want to speak with integrity. You want to be honest. You want to tell the truth, at least the truth as you understand it. What is the truth can sometimes be a query that is challenging. You may, at least say what you believe to be true. But I think it's deeper than that. Say what you mean. We often couch things in, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want to be, I don't want to sound mean or whatever. And it's possible to give false hope to people. So let me give you an example. Let's say someone asked you to come and, work a bake sale. And that absolutely under no circumstances are you going to go work that bake sale. But you don't want, they asked you, you don't want to say no. So you go, well, let me check my schedule. Well, that's not what you mean. What you mean to say is, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not going to be able to do that. And then whatever your reason is, you're not going to be able to do that. And I've talked about that in other things in my book about the willingness to say no, but say what you mean. Don't lead people on. Avoid using the word you speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Gossip is not an impeccable use of your words. I think that we should be more sparing with the words that we say. A lot of us, and certainly myself included, talk to hear ourselves talk. And we're just babbling on. Gossip is certainly that. Gossip is probably one of those things that you should really, really try to cut out of your life, because when you're gossiping, you're just telling stories, and gossip is one of those things that just expands, right? Oh, did you hear about Bob? And then the next person tells, well, the story about Bob, the fish gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and pretty soon, Bob, who maybe stole your parking space, now is an axe murderer. um, Gossip is really a bad thing. It's not an impeccable use of your words. Use the power of your words in the direction of truth and love. Use what you say in a powerful way to move the ball forward in a good way, with truth and love. Um, and so, the the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. Now, I do want to make a comment here. These agreements are with yourself. I meant to say that at the very beginning. Understand what Don Miguel Ruiz was talking about is the agreement with yourself. This isn't an agreement. You shake hands with someone else and say, "Hey, I'm going to be impeccable with my word to you." This is to yourself. Be honest to yourself. I think the person that we lie to the most is probably ourselves. So be honest to yourself and be impeccable with your words. Be impeccable with what you say to yourself. That self-talk. Don't be saying, "Oh, you're stupid. You're stupid." That was You may do stupid things. We all do stupid things, but that doesn't make you stupid. So be impeccable with your words. Be really cognizant of what you're saying to yourself and what you're saying to others. The second agreement, which I think is really important, don't take anything personally. The truth is, very little happens in your life that is personal to you, even when it directly affects you. The guy driving down the road who cut you off, it had nothing to do with you. The guy who flipped you off on the street, that had nothing to do with you. That all had to do with them. Most people actually don't give you a second thought. You're not important enough to them to even really be part of the equation. So when they're making decisions, it is not personal to you. If an employer were to let you go, or an employer were to be critical of you, um, it's not personal. It sure feels personal, no doubt about it. But your boss is probably looking at something and going, I'm upset that this isn't happening, and it's probably more about them than it is about you, unless you're simply not meeting the expectations. And then it's time for you to step up. But don't take everything personally. We all take everything so personally nowadays. Somebody makes a comment on the internet, a political comment, or Black Lives Matter, or gun control, or whatever the event is of the day, and people just like lose their minds, like it's a personal attack on them. And it's not. It's just simply not. So don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. It really isn't. Don't think that you're so important that everybody sits around trying to figure out how to screw you over. They don't. It is about them. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality and their own dreams. So again, it is about them, not about you. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. How much suffering do you engage in? And this is really true for our youth, man. Social media has been a real. I mean, there's some great things about it, but it has caused a tremendous amount of suffering. Somebody doesn't like your post, and oh my God, it's personal. One of the things that I'm kind of notorious for is I don't really read um, emails and texts religiously. I get to them. If you send me an email, I will get to it. I will eventually look at it. If you send me a text, I will eventually see it. Um, but I have really worked hard not to be wed to my phone. So if you want to communicate with me, text is not a great way to do it. Don't take it personally. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with how I've decided to design my life. And the fact that I may not respond to your text quickly uh, doesn't is not a reflection on how I feel about you. The same thing with emails. I do get to emails. I haven't looked at an email all weekend on purpose. On purpose, I decided this weekend. I've been in trial, and this is a challenging trial. When you're in trial, it's a murder case. I'm on, uh, for 8 hours a day. I mean, really, really focused on this, and it's exhausting. And frankly, I don't need the distraction. So I decided this weekend is going to be a weekend of no work whatsoever. I'm going to do a number of other things. I wanted to do this show. I've been doing a lot of reading. I went for a nice bike ride. Uh, so, if I'm not responding to your email this weekend, don't feel bad about it. It ain't personal to you. I guarantee it. It has nothing to do with you. It's got to do with, me and my time. Um, but a lot of people do take that personally. All right, number three. What's the third agreement? The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions, express what you really want. What is the old saying? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. We all make assumptions, and the truth is that life. You probably would be frozen in life if you didn't make an assumption. Let me give you a good example. If you're driving down the road and the light for you is green, you are assuming. Matter of fact, you are betting your life on the fact that the other light is red, right? It's a good bet. 99.99999 times out of a hundred, it's correct. Occasionally, it's wrong. You're also assuming that the other drivers will honor that red light. That's not as good of a bet, right? It's probably a pretty good bet that the light's red. Will they honor it? Eh, you probably should at least be looking, at least be keeping your eye open for it. Don't make uh, too many assumptions. And that example maybe is not that great. When you're talking to somebody, don't just assume, oh, they hate me now because they didn't answer my text, or they don't like me, or whatever. Because we normally, it just seems like assumptions tend to be in the negative. Ask questions. Find out what is going on in their lives. If they're in a bad mood, don't just assume it's because of you, because probably, as I say, don't take it personal. It's 99% of the time, it's not about you. It's about what's going on in their lives. Have the courage to ask the question. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. Communicate with people. One of the big problems is we communicate in 5 words, tweets and texts and whatever. That's not really communication. Studies show that communication, most of what people get is nonverbal. So you lose all of that through texts and tweets and email. You lose all that nonverbal. It's really hard to tell when someone's being sarcastic on a tweet or on a text. So, open up the communication, talk to people, be in their presence. I know that's easier said than done with COVID, but you know what? Things are opening up. You can go see people anymore. You don't need to be locked in your home anymore. Don't make assumptions. Um, you know, uh, Don Miguel Ruiz says, with this one agreement and not making assumptions, you can completely transform your life. Don't assume uh, anything. Find out. If you're not 100% sure, find out. How do you find out? You ask the question. When you say that, do you mean, X, Y, and Z? When you say that you're going to look at your calendar because, I've asked you to work the bake sale for me, and you say you're going to look at your calendar, do you mean no? Just tell me. If you mean no, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm asking. If you can't do it, that's great. But, find out. Don't be on the hook, because if you took, I'm going to check my calendar as yes, then you stop looking anywhere else, perhaps, and you might wind up in a bad situation, because now you don't have anybody working your bake sale, and then you get in a panic, and then you're all upset at them because they misled you, because they weren't honest with you about the no. So, don't make assumptions. Keep asking questions. There's a rule of, asking, always ask 5 questions, right? Each question digging deeper and deeper and deeper until you figure out what's going on. And if somebody's upset, especially in your work environment, if you work with somebody and they're upset, um, and you feel like if you're an employer, especially if you have people working for you and you're trying to get to the bottom of it, one, it takes courage to do that, because sometimes you don't want to look. But if you're going to try to find out what's going on, ask questions. Don't just assume. How you doing? Oh, I'm all right. No, they're not. Dig. And, and then the employer or the employee needs to be honest with you enough to say, hey, you know what? I don't really want to talk about it. This isn't your business, or, this is not something I want to talk to you about, or whatever. But don't make assumptions. And the final agreement, which I think is so critical, always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It'll be different when you're healthy as opposed to when you're sick. It'll be different when you're tired as opposed to when you're well rested. As an athlete, I learned this, that my best isn't the same every day. I can't set personal records every day. I can't even match my personal records every day. You peak, you train for a certain event, you peak, you're at your best, and then you come down off of that. And you hope, as you're growing up and going through your athletic career, that your peaks get higher. But I'm at the age now where my peaks are not getting higher, and to be able to hit points, uh, you know, speeds and times that I hit when I was younger, it's just not going to happen. When I was, in high school, I ran a 2:47 marathon. That's never going to happen again. Okay, I am not going to, one, I'm not interested in it. Two, I'm not going to train for it. But three, even if I did all of those things, I don't know that physically, I weigh probably 40 pounds more than I did back then. You know, when I was 17, 18 years old, I weighed like 130, 125 sometimes. And now I'm more than that. Let's put it that way. So always do your best. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. One of the things that I found as an attorney, and especially when I was doing death penalty work, when someone's life literally was hanging in the balance, my goal for every single case was to walk away from that, no matter what the result was, without any regrets, to know that I did everything that I possibly could to get the best result that I could. And you know what the result of that was? I don't have anybody on death row, even though I handled multiple death penalty cases at a time where people were getting sentenced to death. Um, I didn't lose anybody in that way. So, why? Well, in large part because I made sure I didn't have any regrets. That I worked so hard, and I did my very best to make sure that I got the good results. So, just as a recap, be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. This is a very brief overview of this book. I highly encourage you to read it. I've actually read it several times. This is one of those core value things that if you don't know what to do, you run into a situation where you don't know what the answer is, you can come back to these 4 agreements and go, am I being impeccable with my word? Am I taking this personally? And is that really the problem? I've got my panties all in a bunch because I'm taking it personally. Am I making some assumptions? And am I doing my best? All right, everybody, that's our 20 minutes. The buzzer just went off. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you find this useful. You can go to my website, mikechastain.com. It's mikechastain.com. And all of these shows are being posted there. It's on my YouTube channel. I hope you find it useful. I think that, I put a lot of time and effort in preparing these things. And again, I hope you find it useful. For those of you that are viewing it on Facebook, if you have um, questions or comments, or you'd like me to cover a particular topic, please put it in the comments. I'm happy to do that. You can email me again at mike@chastainlaw.net if you have questions about that. And don't forget, you can get my book, Legalese, the ultimate guide on how to survive a law practice. I cover an awful lot of these same topics. It's available on Amazon. It's, frankly, it's selling quite well. I'm very happy. We've gotten some great reviews. It's a really well done book, if I have to say so myself. Others have said the same. But in any event, I hope that you enjoy it. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll catch you next time. All right, take care, everybody. Bye now.